National Elections Commission to convene tomorrow.
Election date will be notified I think we can notify it in next week.
President advises officials to halt crimes inside prisons. Another leopard dies in Nelua. Violent protests over George Floyd murder intensify.
Hello there, very good evening to all our viewers. You're with me, Joel Outspoon on Prime Time News. We're coming to you live and direct this evening from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. We start off with a look at our top story this evening. The fundamental rights application filed at the Supreme Court against the proclamation issued by the President dissolving Parliament and the Gazette calling for an election on the 20th of June were dismissed today. News First, Charlene Benedict reports.
The five-judge Supreme Court bench headed by Chief Justice Jayanta Jayasuriya today delivered their decision on whether or not leave to proceed will be granted to the fundamental rights applications filed challenging the proclamation issued by the President dissolving Parliament and also the Gazette notification issued calling for an election on the 20th of June. This was announced at about 3:10 this afternoon. The Supreme Court bench, the five-judge Supreme Court bench, heard this petition for over 10 days. The first day that the petition was considered was the 18th of May, and since then, for 10 consecutive days, these petitions were fixed for support. The respondents were given an opportunity to respond, and also intervenient petitioners, about 15 of them, were given an opportunity to make submissions before the Supreme Court. Today, delivering their decision on granting leave to proceed, the Supreme Court announced, Chief Justice Jayanta Jayasuriya announced that the preliminary objections filed by the respondents were overruled by majority decision. However, the Supreme Court was unanimous in refusing to grant leave to proceed to the fundamental rights applications that were filed at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court bench that examined the fundamental rights petitions included Chief Justice Jayanta Jayasuriya and Justices Bhuvanekalu Vihara, Sisira Diabru, Priyanta Jayawardena and Vijit Malalgoda. Yesterday, the Supreme Court concluded the hearing of the submissions from the petitioners, respondents and intervening petitioners. The fundamental rights applications were filed by Attorney-at-Law Charitha Gunaratna, General Secretary of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya Ranjit Madhum Bandara, veteran journalist Victor Ivan, and former ministers Partli Champika Ranavaka and Kumara Velgama. The Elections Commission, the individual members of the Elections Commission, the Secretary to the President P.B. Jayasundara, the Director General of Health Services Dr. Anil Jasingha, and the Attorney General were named as respondents in the applications.
Supreme Court has unanimously, all five judges have decided not to grant leave to proceed against all right application which was filed by mainly opposition activists. In terms of that, Supreme Court has clearly decided that all the actions on His Excellency the President has so far taken in order to call for elections is legal, and they rejected the application to recall the whole Parliament. Further, it's also clear the allegations that public accounts regulations have been violated is also not been entertained. Therefore, it is now time for democracy. Now it is for the Election Commission for them to quickly and expeditiously have this election, of course, subject to the health guidelines.
The petitioners said that it was not possible to hold the election on the 20th of June, as was announced. On the very first day, the Election Commission informed court that they will not be able to hold the election on the 20th of June, and therefore, the very first petition, that of Charitha Gunaratna, we did not pursue because that was the only relief claimed in that petition. In the consideration of the main matter, the court unanimously has decided not to grant leave to proceed. We were not given any reasons for this decision. There may be reasons, we don't know, that may be made available later that we need to check. So until we ascertain the reasons, I'm unable to say anything about the decision. But there is only one thing that I can say, is that the struggle for the establishment of democracy will continue.
If the elections were held on the 20th of June, the situation in the country is still not safe. We made this request as the lives of the people were at risk. Our request has been successful. The elections will be held on a date after the 20th of June when it is safe and we are ready to face such an election. I think that we could have solved this issue sooner if the President accepted the requests made by the Election Commission back then. It is because of the actions of the President that the elections had to be postponed repeatedly like this. As the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, we are ready to face the election at any time. 4 of the 8 petitions were from the Samagi Jana Balawegaya. It is very clear that although there were other main political parties in the country in the opposition, they did not file such petitions. What happened here is that based on the decision of the Supreme Court not to grant leave to proceed, they now have to contest as 2 teams, one in Sirikota and the other one in the building next to it. The government took over the responsibility of facing COVID-19 and resuming the regular lives of the people. But the task of the opposition is to ensure that their faction secures a higher number of seats at the general election. Submissions made by us on behalf of the General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and the other intervening petitioners were accepted by the Supreme Court, and now the duty of ensuring the protection of the sovereignty of the people is in the hands of the Election Commission. We can see that the failure of the Elections Commission to fulfill their duties has resulted in the elections being postponed repeatedly. I think everyone who is scared of the elections better start preparing for the election from tomorrow.
Generally in politics, it is the opposition that always demands for elections. Although we prepared for the elections, they were not able to resolve the differences within their party. Therefore, they have forgotten the role of the opposition and used the coronavirus pandemic to petition the court to postpone the elections. Now the Elections Commission is empowered to hold the election. These elections must be held as soon as possible. We will fully support this. This is a victory for us. We requested for the date of the elections to be postponed further from the 20th of June. We hope that the Elections Commission and the health authorities will act legally without swaying to any political pressure and hold the elections by the end of August or in September when the situation in the country is safe. They must hold the elections after the safety of the general public is ensured, and they must not try to hold the elections over the dead bodies of our people. We are ready for an election at any time.
එකමාරක් වගේ ප්‍රමාණයක් හුස්ම ගන්න පුළුවන් වාතාවරණයක් ඇති කරලා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. ඉන්පසුව ඕන වෙලාවක මැතිවරණයට අපි සූදානම්.
What is the stance of the National Election Commission with regard to the election?
After the Honorable Supreme Court decision regarding to the petition, now Election Commission can decide the election date. We have to discuss about this among our commission members. So we are planning to meet tomorrow morning and discuss when we have to publish the Gazette notification about the candidates' names and their preference numbers. Election date will be notified in, I think we can notify it in next week.
As mentioned on the headlines now this evening, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has stressed the need to stop the crimes that are being manipulated by underworld leaders and drug racketeers from prisons. This matter was discussed during a meeting between the President and prison officials yesterday.
The people have a negative attitude towards prisons. Some are questioning as to why prisons exist. This situation must be rectified as prisons are a vital institution in society. I might not be exercising the powers that the people have vested upon me. However, I need to stop this and I will do it. It doesn't matter as to who becomes enemies or friends with me after this. Therefore, tell everyone in prisons that if they don't change themselves, I will change them. That is because drugs are being smuggled through prisons. The underworld is also operating through prisons. Earlier, terrorists had also operated in prisons. Whatever should not be happening in prisons is taking place inside them. This situation must be rectified because that is what the people want. It is a joke to see drugs and weapons being smuggled into prisons and to also witness operations taking place from within. How can we face this situation? Can't we stop a phone from being smuggled into a prison? If that cannot be done, then there is no point of being in service. All of you are senior officials in the prisons department.
ටෙලිෆෝන් එකක් ඇතුළට ගෙනියන එක වළක්ව ගන්න බැරිද? එමනම් වැඩක් නැහැ නේ උගලන්ගේ. මොකද්ද මහ ලොකුවට සේවයේ ඉඳලා කමිෂනර් වෙන්න ඕන අරවා මේ වෙන්න ඕන කිව්වට වැඩක් නැහැ නේ.
Why can't you stop that from happening? This is something that concerns national security. How are drug racketeers and underworld leaders allowed to carry out these activities? That is what I am asking. There is no way that we can move forward if this happens. If the police and the prisons are not functioning properly, how can we establish a law-abiding country? We cannot do that. The members of these institutions must understand their duties. All of you can call yourselves high officials of the prisons department only if a respectable service is provided as expected by the people. The prison service is not up to standard yet. What is important here is not politics but fulfilling your duties. It is important to do the right thing. If you say that there are good officials, then allow them to do their job by categorizing the bad officials who cannot be corrected and then sideline them.
හදන්න බැරි කොටසක් ඉන්නවනම් ඒගොල්ලන්ට පඩි දීලා පූල් එකක් දාලා පූල් එකට තියලා පැත්තකට කරලා තියන්න.
The discussion was held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday to discuss the internal state of prisons. Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva, President Secretary P.B. Jayasundara, Defence Secretary Retired Major General Kamal Gunaratne and Justice Ministry Secretary S.M. Mohammed were among those who attended the meeting. The Tri-Forces Acting IGP, Prisons Commissioner General and several high-ranking officials from the Police and the Prisons Department also attended the meeting.
Getting back to more news here at home this evening, let's take a look at some views expressed in the political arena.
The parliament was dissolved on the 2nd of March. 3 months have passed since then. According to the 1978 constitution, the new parliament should be convened within 3 months after being dissolved. However, although today is the 2nd of June, the parliament has not been convened yet. The president has powers to handle state expenses for 3 months since the date of convening the new parliament. However, a date to convene parliament has not yet been decided.
Under Section 150, subsection 3 of the Constitution, the President can allocate state expenses from the Consolidated Fund for 3 months since the date of convening Parliament if an appropriation bill has not been passed at the time of dissolving Parliament. Therefore, there is no need of passing new laws.
This government is getting ready to hold a corrupt election. That is why we are saying, if a free and fair election needs to be held, these conditions must be removed. In order to hold a free and fair election, the country must maintain normalcy at least for a month or two.
The responsibility of the National Election Commission is to hold the election as soon as possible. It is the responsibility of the government to provide the required resources. Everyone is afraid of holding elections these days. The Election Commission can hold the election within 30 to 45 days.
We have come here leaving our health concerns aside, but we have no choice because we have submitted our nominations. If we hadn't, we could have stayed without an issue. We will have to enter into an election even if we like it or not. But is it the main concern of the country right now? A vaccine has not been invented yet. So is it right to make people stand in queues to cast votes?
අර ගම් වතුරට එකතු වෙනවනේ නයිමෙකුට නයිත් එක කොටේට නගිනවා මුකටියොත් එක කොටේට නගිනවා. ඇයි? ගම් වතුරෙන් ගැලවෙන්නේ. දැන්
They are now expecting an election. If they were here, they'd have postponed the election indefinitely. Why? Because they know that they will be defeated in any election.
මොන මැතිවරණයකට මුහුණ දුන්නත් මේගොල්ලන්ට අන්ත පරාජයක් ලැබෙන බව සමූපකාර ඡන්දත් කල් දැම්මනේ.
The identity of the people cannot be established as only their eyes would be visible. A 1 meter distance must be maintained between people. Jasingha and Paba Palihawadana must stand outside polling stations and do this if they can. We cannot allow clusters to be created. If Ajit Rohan is willing to enforce these laws, even if he has to stay at the election secretariat, we are willing to participate in the poll.
We are of the view that the election must be held. There is a need for a stable government if the country is to receive investments. We will not decide on the date for the poll. The Election Commission will make a decision regarding that. As ministers, what we feel is that although we can govern the country, an election is needed for the country to move forward.
Now, while the political arena continues to debate over such matters, we draw the spotlight towards a matter that needs to be brought to the attention of aspiring public representatives. Today, we filed this report on the invasion of locusts in the districts of Kurunegala and Kegor.
Locusts have been spreading rapidly in the areas of Mawatagama, Nagahakanda, Yatiwala, Meethanwala, Watupitiya, Barandana, Idulgodakanda, Pallegama Katawala, Matava and the Polgahwela areas.
Locust infestations were reported from the African continent, Pakistan and our neighbouring India as well. Now, the farmers living in the Kurunegala district are also hampered by a new locust that has been reported in the area. Will Sri Lanka also share the fate of India, or will we be able to come up with a solution before it's too late?
Locusts can be seen on several plants including corn, banana, guava and mangoes. These pests have spread rapidly within 3 days.
Last year we saw smaller locusts. This time I saw bigger ones that can fly. It started feeding on trees including coconut. I informed the agriculture department about this. Once they fumigated the area, some locusts flew away while the rest died.
These locusts have caused massive destruction to our crops such as pepper, banana and coconut. They gave us some weedicide to be sprayed on the plant. It is difficult for us to do this as these pests are in large swarms.
විශාල ප්‍රමාණයක් ඉන්න මේ දැනට ඉන්න සතා කවුද කියලා හඳුනගෙන තියෙනවද?
දැනට අද දිනේදී අපට තහවුරු වුණා කහතිත් පළඟැටියා කියලා.
අපි ඇත්තටම බය වෙන්න ඕන තැනකද ඉන්නේ.
මේ පිළිබඳව හොඳ අවබෝධයකින් අවධානයකින් කටයුතු කරනවා නම් අපිට ඉදිරිය ගැන බිය යුතු නැහැ. අපිට මේක පාලනය කරන්න පුළුවන්.
Locusts have been spreading rapidly in the areas of Ambepussa, Daliwala and the Baminiyawata areas which fall under the Kegol district.
To curb the spread of the locusts, we have begun using insecticides. We believe that this had taken place as the environmental equilibrium had declined in the area. The climate has also had an impact on this. This is not the desert locust that is found in India and Pakistan. There are very few possibilities of the desert locusts coming to Sri Lanka. The spotted locust is not new to the country. The insect has been in the country for a long time. They spread rapidly, only once in about 5 years. They lay eggs on the ground. They stay on the surface of the earth for a week or two. It is in that stage that we can easily control their spread.
While locust infestations continue to make headlines, another issue which came to the fore over the past few weeks is the fertilizer issue, which has still not been resolved. Farmers staged a demonstration opposite the Medavachiya bus stop in Anuradhapura today, urging authorities to provide them with adequate amounts of fertilizer. The All Ceylon Farmers Federation headed this demonstration.
I came to obtain fertilizer. I have cultivated an acre of onions, but not a single drop of fertilizer has been added. It has been over 2 months and nothing has been issued. We urge the government to issue fertilizer to us, release it to the market.
We did not take to the streets before this. We gave the government a chance because there was an outbreak of COVID-19. We did not force authorities. However, we cannot bear it any longer. At the meeting held in Anuradhapura, Gotabaya Rajapaksa said he will provide fertilizer for free. This demonstration is only a sign of what is to come. We do not want free fertilizer. Issue it to us at a price. The government should empathize with the farmers. They are in distress due to the lack of fertilizer.
The demonstration was held for over an hour. Thereafter, the crowd dispersed.
Residents of areas surrounding Suryavava in Hambantota spend their nights in fear. Although this situation is not a novel experience for these residents, we decided to inquire into their situation once again. This was the signboard that we witnessed when we began our journey in Hambantota. We reached Suryavava. Within a few minutes, area residents here stay awake all night with the hope of protecting their crops.
වැඩි කොටසක් මේ ඉඩම් කඩන්නේ තෑරලා ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ දැන් මේ මිනිස්සු කර කියා ගන්න දෙයක් නැතු. හැමදාම මේ විදිහට තියෙන එළි වෙන ගන්න ඉතින් නැහැ. ඔයාට අයිතිකාරෝ කවුරුවත් නැහැ. අයිතිකාරෝ හිටියා වැඩකුත් නැහැ. වන්දි ගන්න කාගෙන්ද? අලිකාවට වන්දි ගන්න බෑ.
Most of the farmers here patrol the village while putting their lives at risk. This is the Sinimodharayaya village. Residents of 18 Gramanilladari divisions out of 21 in the Suryavava Divisional Secretariat live in fear of wild elephants. The people in this village are fed up of seeking for solutions to this issue. In 2003, they said that the area would be developed. All we saw were elephants. After this area was developed, the elephants lost their habitats. Therefore, they came and destroyed our cultivation. When we informed wildlife officers, they complain of not having a vehicle to visit the area. They say that the vehicle is in Hambantota. The elephants have lost their habitats. There are only 2 rivers. However, they too dry up in August. Where can these elephants go? Our complaints to the officials have been unsuccessful. There is no one who will act upon our complaints. Sinimodhara is located in Nabadagasweva in the Hambantota district. The problems faced by these villagers due to the human-elephant conflict have been continuously outlined in the Gum at the Project reports compiled in collaboration with the Peradeniya University in the years of 2016, 2017 and 2018.
The body of another leopard that died after being trapped in a snare was found in Hatpidia, Nellore today. This was reported just 5 days after the death of another leopard that sparked much debate on the safety of these wild animals in the country.
Just like the death of the black leopard, this leopard too was a victim of human activity. According to the It was a 6 feet long, well-grown male, about 8 years of age. Wildlife officers who inspected the body of the animal said that this is the first time that such a leopard was seen in Gaul. While investigations into the incident have already been launched, no suspects have been arrested. So far this year, 4 leopards died after being trapped in snares in the country. The last reported death of a leopard was in Lakshapana, Hatton.
2 instances where taxpayers' money was misused and mishandled are being widely discussed among the public. Now, they are the import of dairy heifers from Australia that left dairy farmers in the country desolate, and also the sad state of affairs of the cricket stadium in Polonnaruwa. Now, amid all of this, we have now uncovered details of massive corruption at Lanka, Satosa.
While a debate continues to rage over the importation of heifers, we now focus our attention towards several transactions which have taken place at the Lanka Satosa during the COVID-19 outbreak in the country.
Nushad, who is the chairman, has hoodwinked the people with his words. The president, addressing the nation, claimed that the price of salmon and dal will be reduced. Officials should be mindful to include a tag indicating those prices. What did they do instead? They began issuing those tins and stocks of dal to supermarkets and other shops. A disciplinary inquiry into the chairman's actions should be conducted, and the complaints of financial fraud that have been leveled against him must be examined. This wrong should be corrected, and the relief must be provided to the people. These white-collar thieves must be brought to justice.
We reached out to the chairman of SATUSA, Nushad Pereira, to obtain clarification regarding this accusation. The chairman refuted the allegations and said that the claims that have been levelled against him are false.
This is the Hinguragoda Cricket Stadium in Polonnaruwa. We extensively reported on the malpractices surrounding the construction of the stadium. Today, further details regarding the stadium have come to light through a paper tabled at the Management Committee on the 7th of October last year by the coordinating engineer of Sri Lanka cricket, Nalin Midigaspege. A progress report of the stadium's construction as at 30th September 2019 had been included in the paper. While the first phase was scheduled to commence on the 8th of September 2017, it was to be completed by the 31st of March 2018. The original contract amount for the first phase was 50,504,137 rupees and 20 cents. The second phase of the project has been named as soil fill, plantation and fumigation. The commencement date of the second phase was scheduled to be the 9th of June 2018, while the completion date was 9th September 2018. The contract amount for this phase was 50,572,000 rupees. Another phase of the construction, named Phase 1D, was to construct the drainage, irrigation and water supply system of the stadium. The commencement date of this phase had been listed out as the 31st of May 2018, while the completion date was 31st of August 2018. The contract amount for this phase was 20,560,390 rupees. A company named Surat Vikramasinghe Associates acts as the project consultant of the construction project, while the contractor is a company named Isuru Builders. Samanala Gunasekara acts as the project manager. It is doubtful as to whether the coordinating engineer of Sri Lanka cricket, Nalin Midigaspege, had presented accurate facts regarding the progress of the construction on the Hinguragoda Stadium on the 30th of September last year. When Newsfirst reported regarding the Hinguragoda Cricket Stadium on the 28th of last month, this was its progress. Therefore, who will be held accountable for the 130,636,527 rupees and 20 cents that was agreed upon for the completion of 3 phases of the stadium, a stadium that has seemingly been forgotten by officials at SLC. A plethora of similar financial misappropriations carried out by officials attached to SLC were highlighted through the audit carried out on SLC and during COPE sessions. When will the law rightfully be enacted on those who squandered millions of funds that could have otherwise been utilized for the upliftment of the sport?
The Police Narcotic Bureau arrested 2 people in Dewlapitia for the possession of 1.5 kilograms of heroin with a street value of more than 10 million rupees.
The Police Narcotics Bureau seized a motorcycle from the possession of the suspects, who are from Nigambo and Dewlapitia. Investigations revealed that the suspects were engaged in peddling drugs and smuggling the heroin from Afghanistan. A separate packet of 1 kilogram of heroin was seized from the possession of the suspects, and a detective said a stock of heroin was seized on an earlier occasion with the same packaging. Meanwhile, the Bandaragama police arrested a couple for the possession of 9 grams of heroin in Bandaragama. A sword, 5 mobile phones and a scale were seized from the possession of the suspects, who are to be produced at the Panadura magistrate tomorrow.
Views were expressed regarding the pressure exerted on the central bank officials during a media briefing of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya today.
The central bank is an independent body. That is why officials to the central bank are appointed for a 6-year term. However, we are now being informed that the resignation letters of 2 out of the 3 independent officials have been obtained with their signatures after subjecting them to some sort of pressure. We were now informed that they have resigned from the monetary board. One of the 2 individuals is Nihal Fonseca. He has held a senior position at an international bank. He had 2 more years to complete his term. It is very unfortunate for this country to see a person of that caliber resigning from his post. He has resigned because of that pressure. At the same time, Dr. Dushni Veerakon, who is the director at the Institute of Policy Studies, holds the experience of working internationally. It has only been 1 year since she was appointed to the monetary board. She has 5 more years to complete her term. However, she too has felt that her services are not required, as the new government has felt a need to change the members of the monetary board. The government is trying to appoint individuals whom they want instead of allowing them to fulfill their duties. Therefore, there is no recognition for professionals. This is a massive blow to the independent nature of the central bank.
Former Minister Sujiva Senasinghe has been appointed the Deputy General Secretary of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya. Now, Attorney-at-Law Sujiva Senasinghe was first elected to Parliament in 2010 from the Colombo district and then re-elected again in 2015. He served as the State Minister of Development, Strategies and International Trade and also as a non-cabinet Minister of Science, Technology and Research during the tenure of the Yahapalana government. In more news this evening, Major General Jagat Gunawardena assumed duties as the new Chief of Staff of the Sri Lanka Army at the Army headquarters today.
The newly appointed Chief of Staff is distinguished old boy of D.S. Senanayake College and had represented his college in sports such as hockey, rugby and football. Major General Gunawardena entered the army from the Sri Lanka Military Academy in Diyathalawa in 1986 after pursuing course number 20. He had been promoted as an officer on the 31st of May 1986. The Major General, who had gradually risen through the ranks of the military, also holds the experience of serving as the commander of the Security Forces headquarters in Wanni. He is a military officer who had served as the General Officer commanding of the 57 Infantry Division and also held the post of Master General of the Army headquarters. Meanwhile, Major General Rasika Fernando was appointed as the Deputy Army Chief of Staff. He had previously served as the commander of the security forces in the East. Major General T.S. Bongsajaya assumed office as the 42nd Commandant of the Sri Lanka Army Volunteer Force in Koskama today. Further, Major General Pradeep De Silva, who serves as the Colonel of the Commando Regiment, was appointed as the new Director General of the Chief of Staff.
Our cameras toured the busy streets of Petau, which is now returning to normalcy after a hiatus of nearly 3 months.
A lockdown was imposed on the Colombo district for nearly 3 months due to the COVID-19 outbreak in the country. While daily activities in Colombo have resumed to a certain extent, our cameras captured scenes of the situation which prevailed at the Petau market, which is a hub facilitating the distribution of many essential goods across Sri Lanka.
Everything has returned to normal. It will settle down further towards the end of the month when harvests are reaped. As soon as this COVID issue ends, everything will be successful when hotels reopen. The business is back up and running to some extent. Prices of goods have also increased.
It has been decided to commence passenger transport services from next Monday following health directives.
After almost 81 days, the Sri Lanka cricket men's team resumed training today. SLC noted that the training camp will be conducted while strictly following health directives.
The Sri Lanka cricket men's team was unable to conduct training sessions for nearly 2 months given the COVID-19 outbreak in the island. 13 players have commenced training as of now. Health officials have also issued health and safety guidelines for players to adhere to while training. Players engaged in training at the SSC ground this morning. Sri Lanka cricket head coach Mickey Arthur and 3 other coaches were also in attendance. The players will not be allowed to travel to their respective homes for the next 12 days.
Well, on that note, we wrap this edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'm Joel Outscoon. Together with our interpreter Brandy Cruz, we sign off. We leave you tonight with the Nagitimu Sri Lanka theme song. Take care.
Sri Lanka Mevan bhumiye urumaya apage rakagamu Sri Lanka Idiriya gana ekuri apasituvo rakagannata Lanka Duruve vyasana apa time for us to hope and pray and heal our motherland.
We must unite and march ahead. Arise, Sri Lankans now. Sri Lanka. Rise up, Sri Lanka. Nagitimu Sri Lanka. Api nagitimu Sri Lanka.
Gammadda Nagitimu Sri Lanka.